Well, in Canada in particular, the demographic changes that are going on right now are significant. We have the highest birth rates in the country. We have one of the highest birth rates in the world. And that's because we are a relatively younger population in contrast to the rest of the country, because the baby boomers in Canadian society are now into their middle ages. So they've stopped having babies. Canada is now becoming more dependent upon immigration to keep its non-Indigenous population high. But the Indigenous population is also growing. In the province of Manitoba, where I come from, at one time it was around 8 or 9% of the population. Now it's up around 15% of the population, and within a generation it'll probably get up to close to 25% of the population. And that's true for Western provinces generally. And so that growth rate is a significant factor. But also that growth rate is going to have an impact upon communities, because poverty is still rampant, child welfare issues are very significant, and youth crime is quite significant. And we run the risk of those institutions still taking our children away, as the residential schools did and the boarding schools in the United States did, and institutionalizing them to the point where they have no knowledge of their own history, their own culture, and their own self, and they lose their sense of pride and self-respect. So we need to fashion answers that allow them to maintain that. The other demographic that we also need to appreciate is going to be a significant feature is the growing urbanization of Indigenous people. Young Indigenous people are finding they have no economic opportunities and no career opportunities in their home communities. People who leave their communities to go to school to become teachers, for example, find that they cannot take a job in their own community because they can't find a house to live in. Or if they do want to go back, they got to move in with their parents. And if they're a young married couple with children, that means they're moving into an already overcrowded situation. First Nations communities in Canada are facing a really significant housing crisis, in addition to all of the other social issues that their communities are facing. So those young people are going away, getting educated, and staying in urban areas. And the urban Indigenous population is now close to 60% of the First Nations population. And that has implications for the fact that those young people are not able to give back to their communities merely by being there and being the role models in the community.